Alright everybody, welcome to the video here for lesson number 5, the second video on the definition of a parabola. Um, First and foremost, sorry if you could hear my daughter's TV show in the background. I had to make this video at home today, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so let's take a look at number 1. So number 1 says, find the equation of a parabola as a focus of 3, 4, and a directrix of y equals 8. So the first thing that I notice is the directrix has a larger y value than the focus. So when I draw my diagram, I'm going to have a y equals 8 line here, and I'm going to have the point 3, 4 here, meaning the vertex is somewhere in between those two. Now, if you're having trouble trying to figure out what's in between those, just think of the number line, right? So the vertex here, we know is going to have the same x value as the focus, but the y value is going to be the number between 4 and 8, so that would be 6. The p-value is going to be the distance between those two, so that's 2. So then the original equation that we have here for a parabola, right, is kind of like a standard equation for all parabolas. I can then plug in my vertex and my p-value. So since the vertex is x minus h, so we'll say x minus 3, 4 times 2 is 8, and then y minus 6 because the vertex has a y value of 6. Notice I'm using the opposite sign of what the vertex is because in the equation it says negatives. Now that's an equation, but we want to really be equal to y. So fight the urge to distribute the 8 and just divide it away. Dividing by 8 is the same thing as multiplying by an eighth. I like that, it just looks better. And then I'll add 6 to both sides. So my final equation is 1/8 x minus 3 squared plus 6. Not too bad. Let's take a look at the next one. So the next one's a sideways parabola. I know that because it's x equals 2. So if I think about where 4, 1 is, all right, 4, 1, and x equals 2 is going to be to the left of 4, 1, I then know my parabola is going to open up to the side. The distance between the vertex and the focus is going to be positive because I'm going from left to right. Also, just like before, my vertex is going to be halfway between those two. So if I'm at x equals 2, and I have to get to 4, 1, the middle x value is 3. So in this case, the vertex is going to have a point of 3, 1. So notice on the sideways parabola, the y value of the vertex is the same as the focus, not the x value. The p-value here is just 1, because there's 1 unit between those two. So for this, I have to use not the equation I wrote on the top of the page, I have to kind of change it a little bit. So I have to say y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. Notice I'm squaring the y instead of the x. That's what makes it sideways. So then I just plug in like normal. So y minus the y value of the vertex. 4 times 1 is just 4. And then x minus the x value of the vertex, so 3. Unlike the one we did for number 1, in this case we want to solve for x. So again, fight that urge, just divide away the 4. Dividing by 4 is the same as multiplying by 1/4. And then add the 3. So my final answer is going to be x equals 1/4 y minus 1 squared plus 3. This is one we can't really check on our calculator, but if you go to Desmos, you can check it right on there. Number 3. Number 3 says, for each graph, state the focus, directrix, and the equation of the parabola. So for the first one here, I see that the vertex is 0, 0. The focus looks to be 0, 1/2. And the directrix looks to be y equals negative 1/2. If you use 0.5, it's okay. So since I know the vertex and I know the p-value in this case is 1/2, I can plug into my formula. So I could say x minus 0 squared is equal to 4 times 1/2, which is just 2, and then y minus 0. Well, minus 0 is just the variable, so x squared equals 2 times y. Divide by 2, and I have y equals 1/2 x squared. Again, if you use 0.5, it's okay. Another sideways parabola, so our vertex is the coordinate of 3, 0. Our focus is 7, 0. And our directrix is x equals, it's a vertical line, -1. The distance between here and here is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. Yep. Sorry. And then we can go through and make our equation. So instead of y x minus h squared, I'm going to do y minus k squared. So y minus 0 squared is equal to 4 times the p-value of 4, so 16, and then x minus 3. Again, y minus 0 squared is just y squared. That makes it easier. Divide away the 16. So I have 1/16 y squared is equal to x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. And I have x equals 1/16 y squared plus 3. So then that winds up being your final answer. Okay? That's it. So essentially what you need to know is you... Hold on a second. Ready? Go ahead, say it. Say it.
Look on homework.
All right. See you guys all tomorrow. Good luck on your homework.